Okay, it's now time to focus on a massive London derby in the Premier League this weekend. Tottenham against Chelsea. Andy, this is a very simple question to you. Is this the biggest game of the season for both of these London rivals? Because at the moment, Tottenham are in the top four heading into the weekend, but they're a Jekyll and Hyde team. Not really sure what version of Spurs is going to turn up. And then Chelsea, obviously, under massive pressure under Graham Potter, really struggling. So this feels like a pivotal game. Always does when these two teams meet, but particularly at this point of the season for both of them in their goal to finish in the top four.
Yeah, I think I've said this before. Tottenham, Chelsea, Chelsea, Tottenham is the fixture of the season, or the fixtures of the season that I dislike the most. No matter what form Spurs are in, no matter what form Chelsea are in, it always seems to be Chelsea domination. And I've never been able to understand it. And I'm looking at the form of Chelsea right now, the fact that they've scored one goal in their last four games. Now they've kept a couple of clean sheets during that time, but like you say, Spurs have just been so up and down from beating Manchester City to losing 4-1 to Leicester, and then last weekend they turn up and they put in a pretty okay performance and get a deserved win against West Ham. I have no idea what to expect from them. The fact that Conte is not on the touchline managing the team is a good thing. I don't know, and so yeah, anything could happen in this game. It could go any final score, any result, and nothing would surprise me given just the unpredictability of these two teams.
Kind of like Forrest Gump when you think of Spurs, right? It's like Spurs are like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. That's where I'm going with this one. But Harry Kane, I think back, I was at the bridge at the start of the season when it was a 2-2 draw. Harry Kane, 96th minute, equaliser, pandemonium. Conte and Thomas Tuchel, then Chelsea boss, scrapping on the sidelines. And these two teams, like you mentioned, it always seems to ebb and flow. They're always around each other. And Spurs, though, I feel like this is a decent matchup for them. Is that fair enough to say? Catching Chelsea at a good time, Chelsea losing to Southampton last time out. I mean, it's not a bad time for Spurs to play Chelsea, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw it back to you with a question. Do anybody at Chelsea know who Chelsea is right now? Like the identity under Graham Potter and with all the signings made in January, I have no idea how they're meant to play. I have no idea what they're trying to do on a game-to-game basis. And you know what? Just last weekend against Southampton, who were at the time bottom of the table or second bottom of the table, you know, a 1-0 defeat to them. So it's just. Yeah, it's a transitional period. I think both clubs should be in a transitional period right now. I think at least Chelsea have begun that process already, though, and I think Spurs probably when the summer gets here will have to do that.
What we're seeing, right, is Chelsea just so many big money signings in January. I think we're seeing a lot of unrest in terms of a lot of big name players not playing regularly. That surely, to me, on the training ground and around the place, can't create the best atmosphere. There's a lot of uncertainty around. Oh, they brought in all these players. How many more are they going to bring in the summer? Who's the manager going to be? Because there is pressure on Graham Potter, and he understands that. But he's being backed by Todd Boehly and the American-led ownership group. There's 2 wins in their last 14 Premier League games for Chelsea. And like you said, goal scoring has been a big problem. He's kind of taken that expected goals king title from Brighton to Chelsea with him, right? It's the same issue. Chelsea already had that problem before he arrived. If you look at the forwards and Mudryk, João Felix, very good players, but again, very similar to what Chelsea already had with Mount and Ziyech and Pulisic and Havertz, just players who aren't clinical, and they have someone like Aubameyang sat on the bench and can't even get on the pitch. So it's just all over the place, like you said. I don't know what Chelsea is. This season for me is a write-off for them. I don't think going into this game, what are they? They are 11 points behind Tottenham. Yes, they have a game in hand, but I still think this season is probably, if they lose this one, is going to become a bit of a write-off for Chelsea. Try and bet. If you really are going to back Graham Potter, you've got to give him the rest of this season, the summer, and then you judge him a few months into next season and then go from there. But this is really worrying times for Chelsea, I think, and kind of weird times for Chelsea fans, because I heard something the other day, and Chelsea fans said under the previous ownership, Graham Potter probably would have been sacked 3 times by now, but he's been backed. He's been, he is their man, and we know he's a good coach given time. Took him a while at Brighton to turn it around, but it's a different expectation, different level, right, in terms of what he has to deliver. So I do worry for him long-term at Chelsea. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Does it matter anymore that the manager has been backed with money and signings? Because didn't we say the same thing about Jesse Marsh? They let him hire Chris Armas as his assistant. They signed Weston McKennie right before the deadline. One game after Weston McKennie and Chris Armas arrive, they lose, and Jesse Marsh is fired. So I don't know, and obviously the money that's available at Chelsea probably makes that even more of a tenuous situation for a manager. At least it has been over the years. It's surprising because the season began quite well for them, and that game against Tottenham all the way back in August was a really, really solid performance from Chelsea. And it felt like they were going to be able to pick up where they left off at the end of last season. They struggled early last season, but they finished so strong. And it felt like Tuchel was really galvanizing that squad. And they brought in Koulibaly, and he was going to kind of fix that defense and give them kind of a foundational defensive player. But they ignored the center forward position. And at some point, someone decided that Aubameyang was an answer. And I can't believe that's going poorly for them. I absolutely cannot believe it. And so, yeah, there's going to be a lot of change that goes on at Chelsea. And it feels like if there is a time, and I think you've talked me into it, Joe, if there is a time where Spurs can kind of really assert a little bit of dominance and control over a game against Chelsea, it feels like now would be the time because, for all the up and down of Spurs, they have the one thing that Chelsea do not, and that is a center forward that at any moment that he can get you a goal, he can set up a goal. He is a difference maker, obviously Harry Kane, and that's such a missing piece for this Chelsea team. It's kind of amazing that they spent all that money and didn't bring anyone in to fill that role.
Yeah, it really is. And I think when I think about the key battle in this game, it is in that area. It is Harry Kane and Son coming off the bench and getting a goal to boost his confidence, and Kulusevski. And against Southampton last time out, Chelsea really struggled with the high pressing. They were pinned back, and I still don't think there's that fluidity. Losing someone like Jorginho to Arsenal in January. Obviously, Enzo Fernandez is a fantastic player, but still not used to the players around him. And I think Chelsea have had some problems building out from the back. And I think if Tottenham, like they've done against Man City in recent games, if they press high, they can win the ball back. And then you said it there. You know Kane's going to bury a chance. And he likes to do that against Chelsea over the years. And he just loves scoring in London derbies and being the local hero. So I got a big feeling that he's going to have a massive impact on this game. Prediction-wise, what are you going? The start of it, you seem to be all on Chelsea. I can hear you a little bit. So go ahead. Big Tottenham win? Is that what you're saying?
Not a big one. Well, it would be any win would be a big win, I think, for them at this point. I think it'll be 1-0, and it's probably Kane, the difference maker. I don't think they will press high the way that you say they should, and you're 100% right to say that. It's just not the way that this team plays, which is very frustrating because what did they do second half of last season after Conte arrived and they closed that massive gap between them and Arsenal to finish fourth? It was all energy. It was pressing. It was attacking all out. Not quite wide open, but by Conte's standards, wide open. And it's just so reserved and safe and unimaginative and borderline boring at times. And so I think they will truly grind out a 1-0 win.
You know, I've actually reversed and talked myself out of Tottenham, hearing you a little bit. So I'm actually going for a 1-1 draw. I'm thinking about Graham Potter's Brighton teams and how they've had some success against Spurs. And I think, again, it's a cliche, but local derby, they really don't like each other, Tottenham and Chelsea. So I feel like some of these Chelsea players, Reece James, etc., might just make some kind of difference here. And they're not a million miles away, Chelsea. It's frustrating for them when you watch some of their games. They're not putting chances away. But something's going to have to turn. I think a draw away at Tottenham would be a very positive result and a step in the right direction for Graham Potter and Chelsea. So head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com. We'll have you covered with the how-to-watch information, preview, analysis, and much more on Tottenham against Chelsea this weekend. Massive London derby. We'll have all angles covered for you. And we are very much looking forward to this one. At the first game, right at the start of the season, that dramatic 2-2 draw is anything to go by. They were in for an absolute beauty in Tottenham this weekend.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.